absolutely delighted. I don't know if you know, but Jordan has a very, very busy schedule. So without further ado, can you give a virgin welcome to Jordan Gray, please?
This is already my favourite gig so far. It's so peaceful and everything has been so wild since the show. There's a tune on The Baffled King, and it's called Way Back When, and I wrote it before I transitioned, and it kind of has more poignance for me now, lyrically, than anything else. Well, I had a long-lost friend, his name was Jack of Beanstalk fame, and I was all he had. Love the boy we loved way back in the summer when... Oh, I love this piano. Well, I had a poor sweet friend, a little chicken named Duck he left with a coat made out of insect skin. But no new coat compares to the birthday suit I saw her in. Tall, dark friend, she left two men dead in a single bed. No, do we still love the boy we loved way back in summer when? She loved way back in summer. Now I burn the candle at both ends, and I seal the envelope with a crest that looks like James Dean's head. Do we still love the boy we loved way back in summer? Now I had a small pale friend, a sad girl in the old March hair, both crashed out on her dorm room bed. And I hope she never hears the thoughts still swimming through my head. And I hope she'll always use those Irish O's her mother says. And I hope she'll always find a place for me in her nightmares. I had a tall, dark friend. She left two men dead in a single bed. No, do we still love the boy she loved way back in summer when? Love the boy we loved way back in the summer. And that one. Yeah.
Well, welcome, Jordan. I don't know, we have to do the interview, don't we? It's very interesting, but I'd really rather hear more music, and we can throw that away. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
I've just, some people know that I'm a Prince fan, I don't know why. But, you know, one genius leaves the planet and another one arrives.
That is a bold claim and a very, very sweet thing to say.
We're going to come on to that. But we need to start, as we always do in the Virgin Lounge, by talking about birth. Now, you were born in 1990, BT. That's not a telephone company, it's before Towie, isn't it?
That's right, I was born in Essex.
Could you take us through your early life in Essex and its relevance to all this now? I don't know what we're going to do with this.
Sure. To be honest with you, Peter, I don't remember the day I was born in Essex. I was born in a place called Horndon on the Hill.
We have a picture of Horndon on the Hill, in fact, but we'll come on to that.
The whole place?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Carry on.
And it's not an easy place to grow up, Essex. Thurrock, in and of itself. The mic's a little bit twitchy. Do you mind if I go in with yours as well? Thank you. In and of itself, Essex, not a very easy place to grow up. Thurrock, I love it, and I will always champion Thurrock. I think it's got a lot of character. But there's a sort of sense of hopelessness. And I'm not sure why, because it doesn't extend to the rest of the area. Not an easy place to be transgender as well, not an easy place to be different in any way, really. But it does kind of make you want to get out and do big things.
There are two famous people that I know of in Horndon on the Hill. One is you, and the other one is Dr. Andrew Sentence, pictured there with some posh bloke. Some of you will know that Andrew Sentence used to be on the Bank of England at the top, commenting on the economy, and he now does that sort of on the BBC. But who would have thought that a top economist and top musician would come from Horndon on the Hill?
Tiny, tiny little place. And I've only ever been back once since I moved out, and it was to a tiny little folk gig thing. And I thought I was going to get ripped apart. I went in there kind of like this, you know, all fabulous and dressed to these sort of folky people. Really sweet to me. Yeah, really nice. It's a lovely place. It always has been.
And you've only... People may not know this, but you started playing piano about 16 or 17, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
And you can't read.
I can read words.
Music.
Yeah, I can't.
So there's an unfortunate pause there. But this is absolute, the untrained ear. It's the trained ear and the untrained sort of musical lesson, isn't it? So tell us how you started to play music.
I wasn't very well for a good 2 years, so I had to come out of full-time education. And someone bought me one of those little £5 Toys R Us keyboards, and it's all I did for 6 months. And I learned because when you put certain chords together, it's like, that's a happy chord. Even if you don't know what it is, that sounds happy, whereas that one sounds really sad. And that's just major and minor. Anyone that plays music kind of understands major and minor. Or that's like scary. So I learned by, I guess, attaching emotion to the different chords. So then I knew that if I was writing a happy song and then I wanted it to go sad, you just change it to that.
And that is the hallmark of genius, but you've had thousands of hours of practice, haven't you, in terms of, you've learned a repertoire that I've never heard. We met, by the way, in a dungeon, didn't we, underneath Rochester Castle, where actually it was a very swish bar that's underneath, more or less underneath Rochester Castle, and I had to suffer the indignity of going on after you. But I was just blown away, and I thought, well, this woman obviously has, you know, got a classical degree in piano and all the rest of it. You don't, do you?
No, that's very sweet once again, Peter, and you're very self-effacing. I bought his album that night and I listened to it all the way home in the car. It's really, really good.
So let us pass on, because I have no direct experience of having gone through the transition that you have gone through, but I was absolutely gobsmacked recently because I have a stereotypical image of Bruce Springsteen. I mean, we all know that he drives a truck, he eats Yorkie bars, and he writes songs about being on the road. You wouldn't expect that Bruce Springsteen would make this principled decision of cancelling an entire festival because he felt that the people's needs as transgender people were not being catered for. So a few years ago, you made a principled decision yourself, didn't you? Do you want to take us through some of that?
Absolutely, and you know the thing with Bruce as well, because the way he is placed, kind of politically and musically and everything, I always find, and it's a bit of a bold statement, but I will go on record as saying it, that people that tend to be creative and work in the creative sector do tend to be left-leaning as a general rule, I find. So it's only natural that somebody in this position would kind of inherently know that what was going on in North Carolina was wrong. That is a big, big claim to make, but I will stand by it, I think. Yeah, it tends to be people like him that would come forward.
I don't actually think he drives a truck either.
Well, he looks the sort.
He's
got a driver's tan on his arm.
Yeah. It's a truck driver's tan he's got. But to be more serious, I mean, you've kind of gone through this transition, or you're going through this
talking about me, yes.
Yeah, let's get back to you. We'll leave Bruce out of this. But I mean, I have only the limited experience of having a punk band when I started music with my friend who was gay, and I got beaten up by some squaddies in Chatham because I couldn't run as fast as him, and he was decoratively coloured in the late 70s. So I know what it's like for some of the criticism that one can attract. I mean, you've been relatively free of that, haven't you?
I'm very fortunate, and I'm not naive to the fact that because I work in music, a lot of people initially when I transitioned just thought that's just Jordan being, for want of a better word, fabulous. But like, I share the stage with a lot of drag queens and things like that on the set circuits that I play. I love them, I think they're hilarious. I'm just not one of them, I'm not a drag queen, I'm a woman that happens to be an entertainer and transgender. So I got away with, I was free of a lot of that stigma initially. But it still happens all the time, even if people are sincere, they still misgender me. I'm working with people, you know, at the top end of my career and in music, and they still accidentally might use the wrong pronouns. But I think everyone's always sincere, they just don't necessarily understand, and that's all right, because we were heading in the right direction, I think.
The BBC actually recognised your talent rather than the category, did they not? And worked with you on that basis. And we've seen just a tiny bit of the talent, but there's more to come, isn't there? So the BBC were very kind and saw the person.
I think so. They gave me creative. Was that too loud, by the way? Everyone can actually tell me. Was that right? Oh, okay, good. They full creative control, and we did a tune called "This Woman's Work," which is a Kate Bush song, and it was very much about the gender roles. I had such a great time doing that, but then from then on, it stopped being about gender, and that's really lovely. And I think The Voice is the only show that could have dealt with that in the right way. They had the integrity, you know, to actually put their first transgender contestant out there and then make it about the music. So I was really proud of them for that, actually.
So, just in case anyone's not been to Essex, here we have a map of it, or a small part here, South Ockenden. You've got a brilliant song here. We're going to hear you play live mostly, but would you mind if I played this one? Because I love it.
Oh, that's mine. Yes,
yeah, it's one of yours.
Absolutely, if you'd like to.
And for me, there's story writing, there's lyric writing, there's all the stuff is built into this, and I don't know how you get all the words into the song. So we've got a song here by Jordan called "More Than Just Mates, You and Me."
It's a bit rock and roll.
Before the cheeky coach down to the old Orleans, we're more than just mates, you and me. Tilbury Town, I get a bus to Grace to bring the vodka round. We smoke a cheeky chew while sitting on my knee. We're more than just mates, you and me. But then one day we drank enough to floor an elephant, and you got sick and had to go before I had a chance to be the one to take you home, because I must admit it felt like romance when you said, "Come with me and dance, come with me and dance, come with me and dance." Never stood a chance. Come with me and dance. Down at the old Orleans, we're more than just mates, you and me. Smile. I haven't been this far gone for a long, long while. That's just one take.
That is so surreal. Thank you. Oh, bless you. Yeah. Thank you. That's really sweet of you. We made that. That was the last music video I made before I transitioned. And I think that was me sort of subconsciously just wanting to be myself on camera. So it's really weird watching it back. But for it to have been a joke at the time, because that's my life now. But that's who I am.
Yeah.
That's so strange.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How you make that on 50 quid is a subject for further discussion. Anyway, let's move on to triumph and disappointment, I suppose. We'll start with disappointment.
Great.
Because you did, I like to start this, sort of Morrissey style of presenting here. You went on The Voice and didn't get selected initially, and do you want to take us through that? Because how do you cope with that? You build all your hope up for something and then it doesn't quite happen, but it did obviously later on.
It is devastating. It really is. It breaks your heart. I don't think I've cried that much since I was about 14. We finished and then I just went straight home on the train. But I don't know, I went out with a song that I was really proud of. I did a song by Bob Dylan called Just Like a Woman, and it was to reappropriate the lyrics of that song as a kind of trans anthem. And I liked that it sounded a little bit coy before you heard it as well. It kind of sounded like it was going to be a joke. And then I took it very seriously, obviously. And then, I got the call.
And in case people don't understand the voice, the judges have to turn round if they want to sort of get with you. And the judges didn't turn. We just see a small slice of it because time is precious, I know.
Well, she takes just like a woman. Yes, she does, and she makes me love. Just like a woman. And she takes just like a woman. But she breaks. Oh, yes, she breaks. Just like a little girl. Like a little
And then obviously you got back in the competition because a couple of people who didn't cope with fame quite as well as you have and left for other reasons.
Well, there was a young lady that she couldn't carry on for, I can't remember why. But I got the call for the first time in the history of the show. They brought somebody back, which was really cool. And I love that because nothing about my life or career has ever been A to B. So even my appearance on the show was a no, yes, no, all the way to the end.
Yeah. And Boy George, for me, summed up the position of this because this was the standout moment for me. It's the one I'm going to show because I've got the control of the machine in a moment. But we're going to take another piece and we'll take that in its entirety if you don't mind. But Boy George summed it up and he said, if life was fair, you would have won this show, didn't he? I seem to remember those were the words he chose.
Yeah, he's been so sweet. He's been really supportive all the way from the beginning. And I didn't really get a chance to talk to him on the show. And Paloma Faith had not really had much of a chance to talk to Lydia Lucy, who was another contestant. So it was only a week ago they decided to get us all together and have a little dinner in Manchester. And what am I talking about? A little dinner in Mayfair. And George has set me up with an agent and Paloma's sorting out the management. So they're still ongoing now. It's really a case of they got so emotionally invested. It's really sweet.
Yeah, and it's quite obvious to me that Paloma is a sort of another centred person. I mean, she's a star in her own right, but she looks out for what's outside of,
Yes, and she got that from Prince. She wrote an amazing piece, 48 Hours with Prince. And I can tell now why she's the way she is with me and with my fellow contestants, because Prince was the same way with her. He really helped her a lot in her early career.
Yeah. Let's look at this. Am I crumbling? No. Okay. Let's look at this performance. So this is the one, it wasn't the final one you did, but for me, this is the one that, in fact, it features this suit, doesn't it? Let's have a look at it.
Is this the Chaz and Dave one?
Yes, the Chaz and Dave
okay,
one.
yeah.
Down to Essex. Yeah, there you go.
Regrets collect like old friends, here to relive the darkest moments. I can see no way, and all of the ghouls come out to play. But I've been a fool and I've been blind. I could never leave the past behind. I can see no way, but I'm always dragging that horse around. All of his questions, such a mournful sound. But tonight I'm gonna bury that horse in the ground. But I like to keep my issues strong. But it's all darkness before the dawn. When it's hard to dance, when the devil on your back, so shake him up. And I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. So here's the drinks in the dark, at the end of my road, 'cause looking for heaven, I found a devil in me. or her. I'm gonna let it happen.
That sounded like it was going to be funky.
It's going to be fun.
Oh,
Hey, do you want to say anything about that?
I brought you one of these, Peter. I nicked like a shoebox worth of these on the stage right at the end of the night and give them to
These
you.
are public property of the BBC.
I know.
Give them back.
My father as well, bless him, he crept up onto the stage when everyone was gone and he went to grab some and he walked through a Perspex lining and just fell off the stage and landed in a load of his fake roses. Bless him.
Thank you
That brings
very
back with the weirdest memories, and I'm literally sitting here in that suit right now.
Mhm.
They tailored this for me and I really love it.
Well, there we are. That's what the BBC are there for.
Yeah.
That's what the licence fee is there for, to make sense.
Yeah, thank you for your, for your license fee, guys.
Excellent.
It's lovely.
We thought we saw the winner. We were watching that. And my husband, my daughter, and myself, we said that. She's won the voice with that. That was the most incredible performance.
Thank you so much.
That was the one that Boy George actually said, if life was fair,
Yeah.
you're going to win this.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was trying to tell the rest of the world about that, but anyway, there we go.
1, 2. Okay, sure.
Let's use all the equipment, George.
Absolutely. I ask him to bring this stuff with me everywhere. One thing we get to do as singers is tell stories, obviously, and that's the most fun part. But you get to kind of retell stories. That's my favourite part, in different styles and different genres. This is The Devil Came Down to Georgia, but I never liked the way the devil lost at the end, because who beats the devil when it comes to rock and roll? So I changed the words. This is The Devil Came to California, and it goes like this.
She was in a bind and she was way behind and she was looking to make a deal. But she saw a young boy sitting out there with a fiddle and playing it hot. And so the devil jumped up on a hickory stump and said, boy, let me tell you what. You might not have known this, but I'm a fiddle player too. And if you care to take it there, I'll make it better with you. Now you play a pretty good fiddle, boy. I'd give the devil her due. I bet a fiddle of gold against your soul that says I'm better than you. Well, he said, my name's Johnny, and it might be a sin, but I'll take your bets you're gonna regret, cause I'm the best that there's ever been. And he played round and round and run, boys, run. The devil's in the house on the rising sun, second in the bird band, picking out the you gonna place the baby, no child, no. Ah, na, 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 na. So the devil licked her wicked lips and she let out an evil hiss.
Well, then a band of demons, they all joined in, and it sounded something like this. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Johnny fell down to his knees cause he knew that he had lost, and he offered up his fiddle to appease the devil's cost. No deal, said the devil, I'm here to claim your soul, cause no one beats the devil in a game of rock and roll. Cause no one beats the devil in a game of rock and roll. Yeah. Thank you.
You live in Bad Justine, I live in Tilbury Town. I get a bus to Grace to bring the vodka